wonder if they're not setting up for the great suffering or slaughter so that they can sit back and watch it, at least the Illuminati, and enjoy that kind of suffering. What do you think?
Absolutely. It goes further than that, but let's talk about that, the further aspects, later. What you're getting at here, and what I was getting at as well, is that now they need, the reason that they need us, and that they're not just doing away with us or something, is because they need us to generate what you can call art horror, HORROR, art horror, or I just call it dark ecstasy. They need us to generate that for them. People need to understand that we can create a certain kind of high for them if we can generate a theater for them. This is literally how it works, and the only way you'll know this is if you've been there yourself. I'm making a film about this called Dark Ecstasy. I'm trying to figure out ways to empirically prove this to people, but so far I can't. It's trying, when you describe someone what it's like to be in love, it's hard to describe unless you've been there. But what they need, what the system, what Dark Ecstasy involves is a person will see a certain arrangement in reality and in turn feel a certain strong response. And in this case, certain circumstances are sought out in order to have the response be dark ecstasy. So in other words, that's what the real kind of sadomasochism is for. That's not sexual, by the way.
Right.
People can think it's sexual all they want, but it's absolutely not. That has nothing to do with it. It's a complete after effect.
Is the feelings that they're trying to generate from us, is it to climax at an end point, or is it to just go on forever?
No, just to go on forever. There's no getting to a higher and higher stage. It's just merely to generate the dark ecstasy. And a good film, one of the best films I can imagine to tell people to see if they're curious about this is go see Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation with Matthew McConaughey. I think that's how you pronounce that guy's name. Not too familiar with Hollywood actors' names, so maybe have that wrong. But people will be stunned when you see that movie. I mean, he drives a tow truck around this dark master in the film called the Illuminati is the name of his tow truck. And I mean, he goes on, and you'll see in there, there's the point, there'll just be specific messages given to you that the point, all the film is just these freaks carrying out their exercises in this religious ritual. And then you find out at the end of the film that they're doing it for an ultra financial elite, which acts very bizarrely. You get that at the very end of the film, and then you find out that they just participate right in it, but they're upset with these characters in the film for not carrying it out intensely enough. At one point, one of these elites who shows up and wearing a suit at this rundown house where they're carrying out their rituals says, "You're not fulfilling your task." Is very upset with these goons that are carrying out these dark arts of torture and so forth throughout the film. He says, "You're supposed to show them the true nature of absolute horror." And it's just a perfect, it illustrates things perfectly. And
hey, so here's a question, I think, is that movie being made, Jeff, to help recruit or to expose this evil to all of us? Which is that movie for?
I took it as neither. I've actually been studying that film a bit because clips of it are going into my film I'm making, my documentary, and I think it's neither. I think it's just somebody having fun. It's not necessarily exposed to show the truth. Well, maybe it is a little bit that. I take it as just being someone in Hollywood having fun, just talking about how the world really is, and because knowing that everybody will just think it's fiction, just think it's just a silly. It's not even a scary movie. Called a horror movie. It's not even scary. It's just completely demented. Suicidal nihilism is the best way to describe it. So that is my opinion of what it's for. Not any kind of exposure or recruitment. A film that would be an actual recruitment would be more of a shocking film. I would say, such as maybe From Hell with Johnny Depp, where you can really lure people into the system. I mean, that movie has Freemasonic rituals of blood, splattering up into the air and so forth. I mean, those kind of images, it's my take from my understanding of this, my background. I'm not sure, but if you keep feeding someone's mind enough of that, you could literally tip them over into the world. I mean, the Freemasons, it's well known, are having an explosion of entry numbers. And,
really?
I've had some of my listeners are actually going into Freemasonry are telling me that this is what's happening. They have their initial meetings, and Freemasons will tell them their numbers are absolutely exploding. They can't even keep up, which is got a number of theories on what that's all about. But really the basic way to get someone to truly tip over into the edge of this is they have to carry out, get a taste for the acts, like we were talking about in war. I mean, war is the ultimate dark, ecstatic practice. Because just dipping into it, people will either be absolutely horrified, soiling their pants scared, or they'll have a taste of it, and that taste for it is just nothing but suicidal nihilism. And when you're at that point, you're dipping into that world. And I've had students of mine who have gone and fought in Iraq, and I can tell that it's amazing. They'll come back so shaken, and because I know that they dipped in to the other side, and they're confused by it. They don't understand what's going on within them, and they almost have a psychotic breakdown because they're not functioning in reality.
I know exactly what they're feeling. We all have a self-image, right? And we tend to think that we're all the good guys. And then when you unleash and give into this evil, it shocks you initially. Now, fortunately, I haven't returned for more of that. It scared me. Probably I think I was 13, 14 years old, and I went to the other side. But yeah, it is, and I think the entire world, as far as the recruitment of the Freemasons and stuff, don't you think that it's just all this? I've never seen so many movies coming out about the battle between light and dark, good and evil, and all of that. It seems like it's really being ramped up and forced down everybody's throat and enticing them to make that choice. And I think that's probably why.
And then the universities tell us it doesn't exist at the same time. They'll tell us everything's a random stream of meaningless events.
Yeah. What do you think? You're talking about the feeling that they're provoking, and that you call them the Nephilim, are back there enjoying this. Do you buy into the perspective that they can then manifest into this dimension spiritually? I guess I'm leading up to a demonic possession or something like that.
Well, I don't think demonic possession is that common, just because you don't see it very much. I think probably the people that are demonically possessed are world leaders, and I think that's what David Icke probably was really trying to get at when he's talking about shape-shifting is there's probably a lot of possession events and so forth going on. I think those at that level, from what I've seen, those are the people who have possession issues, to say the least. But on our level, I don't think that's our function as the slaves of the earth prison, as I call it. I think our function is to act like slaves. The people swimming in the water as Hurricane Katrina crushes them, and the people fighting each other in the Iraq War. Our function there is to create a theater where they will achieve spiritual ecstasy off of. I mean, it's the feeling and the seeing and just basically being a part of the audience for that theater is exactly why we are needed, exactly why the world is structured the way it is. It's difficult for people to understand because you're not part of this. You don't understand their sadomasochistic black religion that they model their whole universe after. But our specific function is not to be possessed. If we're possessed, then we're not afraid. Our specific function is to be filled with terror and fear and irrationalism and stupidity. I mean, this is why they make